This is why we can't have nice things.
Yes, it is.
What do you do here?
You are why we can't have nice things. Thank you.
Alright,
We need to put that in the intro, but
Hi.
Long
Long
time listener. This is her first time call.
can you not talk in both at the same time?
take your headphones off and walk to the top of the stairs so we can maybe see if we can hear you. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 196 of the Camcast. Whoa!
Yay.
Yeah,
We're almost to 200, guys.
We're getting there. We are getting there. Oh, there we go, Dave.
Oh, we didn't test that.
Well, no time like the present.
Wow.
Okay, that works.
I mean, I'd say it was a little loud, but
Wait, how's my favorite button? Ooh,
that was the hot one,
But we also have the quiet one.
there we go.
which I'm sure in all reality nobody notices a difference in.
Yeah, I listened to it. I didn't remember noticing a difference.
Rip headphone users. Anyway, I am Mike, dear leader, doc taste, leader of men, herder of cats, wearer of the shorts today, because I am toasty, because I'm fat.
I mean, you're thick. 2 C's.
Damn right. I'm America Plus, baby.
That's it, baby. That is it.
And I am joined, as always, to my right by the one, the only, the professor of the ghetto arts, licensed but not tenured. You're mine, our Uncle Radical. We call him Scoots. It's Dave Raleigh.
Do you know that my shenanigans come in double stuffed vanilla flavor?
Hell yeah.
Since when?
Since now.
Are you sold out yet?
Yes.
Damn it.
He's disappointed. He's disappointed that Dave sold out. He is the chairman of the boards. He is the good Colonel Eddie Dean, a.k.a.
Howdy.
Zach Lords.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
It's all right. I gotta say that you're. I can't just straight introduce you as the Colonel. Give it like a month, and then we're just gonna start calling you the Colonel, and eventually people will just have it figured out.
Colonel Eddie Dean, chairman of the boards.
I also want to note to the audience that I didn't choose this name. The name chose me.
Yep.
I didn't choose Thug Life. Thug Life chose me.
Like any good nickname, it just kind of happened.
I read it, and everyone's called it me.
Yep. And also joining us is one and only, you might know him because he drives a very nice black Integra Type R, and you may have also gone to a little thing that he has been throwing for, I don't know, decade now. It is Jeff Woodyatt of Import Spring Showoff.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Happy to be back.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
He is also a super OG.
Yeah,
Before Cam was a thing.
Yeah.
We were hanging out with Jeff.
When it was just me getting heat stroke at Wide Open Wednesdays.
Hey.
The wannabe V-dub.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
How did that work out for you?
Listen, it wasn't my proudest moment. It was a rough year. There were some good times, there were some bad times.
It was the lightest of times. It was the darkest of times. It was a time of incredulity. It was a time of normalcy.
Yeah, that
All right.
sums up my GTI ownership. I just remember towards the end, I just got desperate and I just wanted to be a vehicle owner. Want to be a vehicle owner.
There you go.
And then I got the Legend, and I became a vehicle owner.
You became a
Would
legend.
I was just gonna say that.
Oh, God.
Yours was probably better than mine because that was pretty bottom of the barrel.
We're going to need a new producer.
It seems that Colonel Eddie Dean has stepped down from the chair position of the boards.
Yep. Well, if you like what you've heard so far, go ahead and support us on Patreon, patreon.com/camautomag. We highly recommend at least $5 a month.
Yeah.
Because that is what gets you into the Shenanigans Super Secret Facebook group, gets you bonus content, and, like the winner that we announced on Tuesday, we're not naming a name because you need to go back and listen. It's not totally because we're recording these episodes out of sequence.
Right.
I was about to say, wait, should I know this?
No, we haven't done that yet. I got to write some stuff down on a piece of paper and put them in a fez. Because we hit our $150 a month goal, we will be drawn on. By the time you're hearing this, we will have picked,
drawn.
We will have drawn a name.
We will have known
to join us on a podcast, perhaps the live episode that we will be recording at ISS.
Just remember, audience, you will know before we will know.
Yep. Well, actually, no. We're going to know.
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, no. We're getting there.
Someday.
We're just all bass backwards on this one right now, aren't we?
We're all out of our comfort zone. Find us on wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Follow us on the social medias. We're at Cam Automag on everything. We're out there.
We out here, fam.
I was blowing up Twitter this past weekend.
That tire fire.
Oof. Listen. We will have gotten into my issues with Twitter. So I'll just go ahead and just move along. So,
And in other news.
and listen, so shout out to everybody that we're going to be seeing this weekend out at ISS.
Yes,
We will be there.
we will.
We will be recording a live episode. I will be sleeping in the van.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes.
I will not.
I don't know where I'm sleeping yet.
Well,
Do you sleep talk while sleeping in the van? Is this like a new feature?
We record it and it's our bonus episode.
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
We're just going to cut out all the silence and just stitch together all of the noises
Just-
and phrases.
Just the horrifying noises I make when I sleep. And then the long pronounced bits of silence. Yeah.
Damn!
I sleep too hard. Sleep might be killing me. So,
Nap so hard they want to fine you.
there we go. So,
I'm not drunk enough to have the second episode first.
right. Well, don't worry. The first episode second is going to be very interesting.
Oh, God. All this news I will not be sober enough to read.
All of this news, including 2 back-to-back Tesla stories.
Oh, yay.
Yup.
Oh, boy.
I might need another beer.
I'll make sure we're all re-up for the first episode.
There we go.
That is a really awkward statement, I will have you know.
I almost brought some of those Moscow mules. They're 10%.
Oh, man.
Ooh,
Oh,
that
mama.
would have been...
The ones in the copper-lined can?
Yep, those ones.
Oh, buddy. You know how to partay.
Mhm.
All right, so there we go. We've done all of our stuff. We don't have any response to last week's question, nor do we have any shout-outs to give because, again, time travel and so forth.
Yeah, I can't argue there.
Is that how this works?
That's my excuse. That's what I'm going with.
I like it.
So,
Whoa, so is the basement turning into like the TARDIS? Is that why there's more room back there than there should be?
don't ask about the noises. I swear to God, I took the parking brake off. Yeah.
You know, it helped me with my golf swing.
I don't know how he got it down here.
Don't worry about it. What did he just tell you about asking questions, goddammit?
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
That joke is getting so old.
Yeah. Don't worry. Knowing nerds, we're going to run it into the ground, dig it back up,
And then forget about it.
And then run it deeper into the ground.
Okay.
It's like losing the game.
Fuck you.
Damn. Wow. That took a turn.
Y'all
You
wanna
deserve that.
Y'all want to take it back? I'm going to take it way back.
Anyway.
What's rule number 1 about the game?
Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity real quick to, 1, remind Jeff this is coming out on Thursday, but 2, give him a little room to kind of introduce himself and talk about the show a little bit before we go ahead and do something we've done successfully one other time, which is make a phone call.
You're really trying this the second time on Jerry, of all people?
I mean,
I'm perfectly okay.
if it fails, we blame it on him.
Yeah, this is...
That's true.
How long have
That's
we
about
been?
how it goes.
How long have we been blaming failure upon Jerry, whether or not he deserves it?
I kind of like this Jerry guy. I feel like he takes some weight off my shoulders.
Oh no! He still blows you out of the water. But
Oh, okay. That's reassuring. Thanks, guys.
We
But,
we love you, Jerry, but
yeah,
there's an anchor, and it's got a hatchet.
tattooed upon it. Oh God! All right,
Drink
Jeff.
to that.
Jeff, the floor is yours for the next 15 minutes.
Oh, for 15 minutes. So.
Stretch her out, bud.
Yeah.
So-
Well, okay. So hold on. Let me just go ahead and say this.
The floor is now yours.
Ooh. Now it's serious.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I didn't even hit the loud button.
Oh, good.
We-
So wait, that
so
was
bad.
that was the quiet one. Yeah, I got some crackle
wow.
that time.
Yep.
Yeah. We clipped.
A little bit. Also,
Yeah.
I don't think I have a compressor on that.
Huh. Well, go ahead and talk amongst yourselves while he figures it out.
All right. So excited to be back with you guys. I think this is our third year doing it now.
Yeah.
Where we've done this podcast. So
Yeah. I mean, the first time was when...
I think it was just
No, it was just Mike.
Yeah, just
I
Mike,
came in
and
shortly
then-
after.
Yep.
and then same weekend, same everything last year.
Yeah.
This is the same night I was here last year.
Yep.
Doing this thing, and
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
exactly happy to be back down in the basement, as happy as the basement can be, I guess. And
I mean,
now
there's Gundam, a TV.
Yeah.
We've actually got cloth on the walls since the last time you've been here.
Yeah.
No, I enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun, and talking about the event. We're going into our 7th year. This will be the 7th ISS, which marks a milestone for us because that means that we have officially surpassed the Utah Honda Spring Meet days. So we had 6 years of the Utah Honda's meets before Kaysville shut us down. So we're going into year 7 of ISS. So this is officially the longest iteration of this event that's been evolving basically since 2005.
Oh, man.
Every year,
What
so-
great times they were.
So year 7 of ISS, year 14 or 15 or whatever altogether of doing this event. So
we're old.
and we're
we
excited
are.
to return to our new home that we found last year at Utah Motorsports Park or Motorsports Campus.
Yeah, it's always going to
So,
be Miller
it's
Motorsports
always
Park in
gonna
our
be,
hearts.
so
Yeah.
Always.
It's always going to be like the Delta Center. That's just how it's always going to be.
Well, for me, it's Energy Solutions. That was my generation. But I actually remember when you guys announced it was going to be at Miller, whatever,
UMC.
Miller last
Miller.
year, and I was, me and my friends were like, "Oh, it's going to be totally awesome! There's going to be so many cars. There's going to be this giant venue with so much awesomeness," and it was actually a really good time. I'm glad I went.
Thank you. And this year, we've taken everything that made the event a success last year, and we've brought it back. We've added upon it. We had bigger plans than what we're able to do, unfortunately, with the delayed sale of the facility. That threw some scheduling kinks into. You guys are well aware of all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to arrange everything that we wanted to do, but one of the big parts that we were able to do was last year, easily the runaway success of the event was involving the Take Luck Drift team, and
yes.
everybody loved the drift ride-alongs, the drifting aspect of the event, and so we actually partnered up with Salt City Drift as well this year. So in addition to Take Luck being back to do the ride-alongs again, Salt City Drift will also be doing an event during ISS as well.
Right.
Which is leading them to create a layout that they've never done before because they've got it split with the drift ride-alongs, and a very unique event, a very unique situation, and I think that the spectators are just going to love that even more because
There's
one of the
always going to be
biggest-
something going on.
One of the biggest resounding things was more drifting. We want to see more drifting, and they're like, "You want more? You got it. Let's do this." So
We've had the most drivers show up in the first event of the season, the first event of the season than we ever have in past Salt City Drift events. So this is going to be really good. I'm probably going to be busy most of both days, running the start grid and stuff for the drift events. But I will break away so we can record the live podcast.
it's going to be a very, very crazy day. I'll say, unfortunately, we actually went out to the facility Thursday evening and kind of walked the venue, kind of spoke with Tiffany, who is the event coordinator in the facility, and kind of talked with her and Vicky about what our plans is for the event, where we want to grow, what we want to see this event to come toward the facility. And unfortunately, we got some bad news. This is the first that we've actually said that the track day is canceled, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
So because they didn't
Bummer.
have enough participants,
Yeah.
which is kind of understanding, but the Intermountain Porsche Club will still be on the west track.
All right.
We'll still have Salt City Drift on the paddock, and the kart center will be open as well during ISS with action going on for public rental. So we still got plenty of stuff going along, even though unfortunately the East course will be quiet. But
Well, still.
it's what it is. We actually talked to UMC about some things next year to possibly guarantee stuff's going on the East course, so we'll see how that plans out in the future.
Nice.
But UMC was pretty excited to hear about how we want the event to grow, how we hope to have them a little bit more involved with the planning going forward, and what they can help bring to the table with us, and just continue doing what works. And this is actually, I know ISS is kind of, for the past, up until last year, we kind of built ourselves as Utah's largest import themed sport compact car show, but with the transition to UMC, we're trying to build ourselves as a motorsports festival now because we want the motorsports to be the focus of the event. ISS is just kind of the glue that would bring everybody together.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like, Grid Life or something where it's like there are multiple things going on.
Exactly. And so this actually, last year we decreased our capacity last year compared to what we had at the Maverick Center. We didn't sell as many spaces. Spectators, sponsors, everything. We didn't sell as many as we had in the past because we had no idea what the space constraints of UFC was going to look like. Especially last year, we had 45 days to put the event together. NASA was already in there that day. Supermoto GT was already in there that day. And so this year, we actually have the paddock to ourselves other than the pits that will be used for the Porsche track day. So this is actually the second largest event we've ever put on. Dang. So we've registered over 500 and I think we're over 540 registered vehicles for the show this year.
Nice.
So far, and that doesn't include sponsors. And the plan, last year we pretty much just used everything east of the day garages.
Yep.
This year we will be extending down the day garages all the way to the drift area.
Nice.
Wow.
With
so many people.
So
that's a lot of space. That is nice.
It's going to be really packed in there, but still plenty of room to breathe. People will be happy to hear that last year, again, because of the space constraints that we didn't know we were going to use with, a lot of fans or people weren't fans. We did those 2 lines of cars down each row section. Again, did that because we didn't know the space. We're only going to a single row this year, so that row will also be angle parked cars. It's not going to be just a straight line of cars.
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
that's going to be better, and then we'll be expanding the show all the way to the drift area.
Nice.
So,
super cool.
And in fact, even we've given Salt City Drift a little area at the end where Salt City Drift drivers, between runs or sessions, they can actually bring their cars and park them as if they're part of the show and talk to people about drifting and show off what a drift car looks like up close if they're not riding in one already.
Talk to people about making poor life decisions.
Right. Exactly. I'm trying to get my S14 wrapped for this.
Come on, buddy.
I'm trying. It's not going to be driving.
Dave, you only have 3 days left.
I know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You can do it.
So
I need more beer.
In a similar instance to that, too, we've got a streetcar shootout coming out with some purpose-built drag cars as well. Even though we don't have a local drag strip here anymore, we still felt it important to have some drag racing representatives there to talk to people about the sport. And, I think we all have that feeling that it's not a gone forever type situation in Utah.
For sure.
I think it's just a matter of when. So we want to keep that spark alive with people who do want to drag race. But ultimately, the goal with the event is, there's not anything against the stance scene or anything like that. But if you go to almost any local car show, they're all stance scene based car shows. And with this transition for us becoming a motorsport festival, we want to put an emphasis on performance and cars that actually perform and not just sit pretty in a parking lot.
There are already plenty of shows here in Utah that are focused more on that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
what I noticed last year was just the raw variation of cars you had there, because you can go to all these different car meets and see just the niche sections of those cars.
Yeah, everybody's there.
Yeah, but you can see everything at that one meet.
Yeah, and that's one thing that from the very beginning, from when we started doing this, it was always, I always called it wanting it to be an enthusiast event where we want to represent vehicles of all build types. It doesn't matter what your build type is. You're welcome to ISS. We don't do a screening process like other shows do. Mm-hmm. We want everyone. We all love automobiles, so come show off what your taste is. Do we agree with another's taste? Of course not. But we all still have a common ground in wanting to share our builds.
We're all enthusiasts, and we all we can all appreciate everything out there.
Exactly. But one thing that's going to be different, we kind of alluded to this, with the vehicles. We'll go back 2 years real quick. me and most of my staff members, for example, we come from racing backgrounds. We built our cars for performance. We want them to perform well. Nobody on the ISS staff has a quote-unquote show car.
Right.
No one. They're all performance-based vehicles. And going back to the final year we were at the Maverick Center, it kind of hurt me personally a little bit because I heard a lot of people saying, oh, ISS is just becoming another stunt show. It's just becoming another Scrape Fest. And it was kind of true. The people that we had selecting the awards were really show-type focused and was really all about the stance because that was what was in. And it hurt me because I didn't want our event to be that way. So even before the move to UMC last year, we were already putting into motion, putting more of an emphasis onto the motorsports and the performance aspects of the vehicles again. And I think that showed in the majority of the awards that we gave out last year is we were looking more at performance side of things.
And also being hosted at UMC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a perfect match made in heaven. And one of the things that we did differently this year was we asked for pictures and a mods list of vehicles as they were registering. Totally optional. People didn't have to give it to us, but I'll tell you guys that it's made a difference on the cars we're already considering because we can see what's under the hood of some of these vehicles.
Right.
And that's going to be the deciding factor this year when it comes to that type of stuff is what's done under the hood. Does this car perform as good as it looks?
Right. And I do like that there hasn't, in the last decade of these shows, there hasn't been anything, I guess, per se, worthy of the Ghetto Award. I remember that being such a joke, and a lot of people kind of took it seriously. And, you know, I'm glad to see that there's not any, you know, real thrown together kind of clapped out cars there for that
Drift
reason.
event.
Don't worry.
And
There's not a single zip tie on my car, damn it.
Your car.
Fair.
And I think that's just those type of cars are just one thing where, you know, I wish it didn't have to be this way, but we are a paid event to have your car there, and we have very expensive bills to pay.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. To rent UMC is not cheap.
No.
But we by having the fee where it is, it actually weeds out a lot of those more Ghetto Award-worthy vehicles that would be there. That's not to say that some of them don't make it through.
I mean,
some
to
do,
be fair,
especially when we don't screen vehicles. But
to be fair, I would like to see a couple of Gambler cars there, but just because of their participation in the Gambler, not necessarily because they're just a junk pile that gets insta-clicks.
Can I bring my daily in?
You can possibly do a lot of things, but right now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give Jerry Carson a call. One of the other people who may or may not have denied you entry into the show because of your shitbox.
No, he's definitely the person that denied you entry because of your shitbox.
Yep.
even though we don't deny any entry.
Nope.
We're still going to blame Jerry.
Remember these all?
That's it. Blame Jerry for everything.
Yep, these are all Jerry's problems. All right.
That's the number one rule of ISS.
Okay, we are calling Jerry, seeing what's happening.
Wow, that was a ring.
Yep. He has my number, so he shouldn't ignore me.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Hello.
How we doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. How yourself?
Oh, we're doing good. Everybody, this is Jerry Carson. Jerry Carson, say hello to everybody listening to the Camcast.
Hi, everyone.
Cool.
Just so you know, he has a non-running CRX that's been on jack stands forever.
To this day.
My God.
It's the what do they call it? The
great CRX hoax.
The hoax.
Yes,
that's
the
right.
hoax.
That's right.
That has been an ongoing running joke for like 10 plus years.
Well, I mean, because it's only shown up to what, one event?
I think
Shown
maybe
up to all of them in the past 5 years.
On a trailer?
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Even Zach is
I might as
taking
well tell you
shots.
the backstory on that.
Please hit us with it.
So I'll tell you the story of the CRX. So when I was 19 years old, I've had my CRX since I was 19. I bought it from a guy. He was kind of shady, and it was his commuter. And so I got it from him for a good deal. And then it was bone stock. There was nothing on it, and even some of the AC components didn't work that he had removed. So he sold it to me, and then about 8 hours later, it actually threw a rod bearing.
Oh.
And then from that point, yeah. So from that point going forward, what ended up happening is, I was working like a $12 or $13 hour job, so it took me like a year and a half to save up for like a B series, and then a bunch of miscellaneous parts. So it was like a 5-year project, and then I started going backwards, like doing I started tearing apart like the wiring, took the dash out, just redid a bunch of things that I've been wanting to do. So that's where the running joke came from, because I always talked about this car that I had that nobody saw for like at least 5 years.
I mean, even the people that saw it didn't believe it was yours. Let's be real.
Yeah, they still don't think it's mine. I mean, next year I get to register the car as a vintage, so I'm going to actually get custom plates, and I'm just going to get hoax on the back side of it.
There we go.
That is amazing. That's great. Now, what you should do is you should register the CRX for ISS and then punk everybody and show up in your Forenza.
Oh, my gosh. That would be great.
That would be amazing. Or,
that would be amazing.
Or since you're going to be there, early, just get the CRX there, but then put it on jack stands.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either.
I will help you
Actually,
with
I
that.
think I might have to do that.
Yeah, there we go. You heard it here first.
It's the hoax, kids.
Yep. Hover mode engaged.
Yeah, so come out Sunday to see the hoax.
We give Jerry a hard time for that, but it's actually a really clean CRX and probably one of the finest examples you'll see around.
Yeah, it is a really clean CRX. And Jerry's also taken up motorcycle racing in the meantime. So, it's not like he's just staring at this thing hoping it gets done. He's actually kept himself busy.
No, I mean, it's sitting in the corner of his garage with a bunch of motorcycle parts on top of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. I mean, it kind of depends.
You got a couple of Pac-Man cabinets sitting in front of it, all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Like, I need a garage for my garage. It's like I get one hobby, and then I add another hobby on top of it. So
no, it sounds like you need a man shed.
I need a garage, I need just a big garage, and then get a side house attached to it.
There you go.
I mean, I think that's the dream for everybody here.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone listening to this.
Yep. All right.
Goodness.
So now that we've talked about the hoax, which makes me so happy, seeing as how I remember some of these early days. I remember the day you posted a picture of it the first time it was off jack stands, and how we as a community celebrated that, and then immediately made fun of you.
That was a good time.
Yeah. It happened exactly like that, actually.
I mean, not everyone gets off jack stands and goes and runs a 17 and a quarter mile, so...
Damn.
Boy.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a good time too. No, it's pretty accurate. The actual the transmission, it had a bad second gear, and so it was just jamming gears. And I also had a broken TPS at the time too. And I just wanted to race the car so bad, I would do anything. And then like that one time I ran it. Actually, no, that was the third time I ran it. And that actually somebody had filmed it, and then it ran like a 17-second quarter mile. So. Actually, it did run it was like a mid to low 15-second quarter mile in mini slicks. This is a long time. This is right after I actually had gotten everything taken care of the right way, and then it blew up again after I turbocharged it. And that's a totally different story.
Forced induction made its prominence in Jerry's life.
Oh yeah.
Well, we could take a stroll down memory lane all day, because those were the good old days.
We really could.
Absolutely.
But no, Jerry, we're here to talk about ISS, and we've talked to Jeff a little bit before getting you on the horn. So what is your involvement in the show, other than you've been there about as long as me, Jeff, and Dave have?
So a lot of people don't see me. I do a lot of the back end stuff. So I manage the website. I do a lot of the legal stuff for ISS. So I do custom forms, and then I also reach out to some of the vendors, food vendors, when they are trying to get in touch with us. I'm also got really good connections with UMC, just because I'm a motorcycle racer there, so I know the good people to talk to. You don't really see me a lot on the front line. I'm more of on the back line of things. So, and then I'm also the guy that schedules most of our meetings together. Note taker, professional note taker, I guess you could call it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll record meetings. I just use different types of technology just so we can all get together. I use Zoom a lot, and then we usually start meeting sometime usually around like October before we even consider putting everything together. Just like to throw out ideas. It's like the pre-meeting of the end of the previous year going into the new year of things that we want to change. And then I always try to pitch new ideas as far as like what we want to change or something I think that, hey, this XYZ, show did this. We should try something like that. Just to give you a couple examples, like in the past, I've always mentioned, do you guys remember the Gold Pass type of thing that we did a long time ago?
Yeah, that was a few years back. Yeah.
That was an idea that we actually all pitched together. It was like, hey, we should try this, and obviously didn't make a return.
I should note that still does live on. That was basically what we used to offer the gift bags as, which are still around.
Good old gift bags.
Well, the different aliases, of course, so a couple of things that I've always tried to do is I always try to project that, ISS is going to increase by at least 10%. And so I want to include something new every single year. Like last year, we were not sure how we were going to do things because of going to UMC. But we somehow made it happen, and then this year it's supposed to be even bigger and better than last year. So it just kind of changes, I guess. A lot of planning on my side. I can tell you that I've spent, countless hours on stuff just on the legal side, just understanding on the things that we can and can't do as far as like having people come to our show, and sponsor their stuff out. Because there's a lot of legality things that are involved in that. A lot of people think, oh, you can just put this show together and you're done. That's totally not true. Like there's you have to do like a lot of special event taxes. You have to actually register the event with the tax commission, and then you have to get like certain permits depending on where you go. So it's a big cluster of stuff that you have to do that takes months of preparation. Sometimes it can be really, really frustrating because like working with these other groups and stuff like that take a while to just so you can get a response back. So that's kind of like my role and what I do going forward, and it just kind of changes every year. So
you're important.
So I had a question: how big is the ISS team? Like what? How many people are consist of it?
In our core staff, we have I think 8 of us. In our core staff, 8 or 9.
It's actually mildly impressive.
For a show that big, yeah.
So, and then then the day of the event, we do bring in volunteers.
Yeah, of course,
and stuff, obviously to help.
I was planning committee, but yeah.
It's pretty fun though. I can tell you that I've really enjoyed it. I mean, there's been some years where are better than others. Of course, like last year, I wasn't even sure if I was going to continue going with it just because of how crazy it was. But we managed to do it.
Last year was almost an ending year for the event. So
yeah, I think everyone on the staff felt that one for sure. And even this year, surprisingly, we haven't actually met online or in person nearly as much, just because everything's been all the work that we've done in the past years have actually flowed together very well. And we usually we'll talk once or twice a week just on touching basis on like things we want to include, making sure we're all on the same page. And it's been really, really easy year. I'd say this is probably, well, for me at least, this has been probably the easiest year for me on the back end for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that too. This behind the scenes, this has definitely been our easiest going year, and I would attribute a lot of that to the fact of we've had time on our side this year.
You didn't have to rush it.
We didn't have to rush it. It was very familiar with losing the Maverick Center and the circumstances that led to that, and then putting ISS together in only 45 days last year. But people don't know that even when we were at Maverick, with the exception of our very first year, they only gave us about a 60 to a 65-day window to put that event together. And so this year's been very different to us because we announced back in January. Mm-hmm. We had about a 5-month lead-in instead of only 2 months that we typically have. So
it was huge.
That's made things a lot better, but I think at the same time it's been mellower for everybody because we don't have those like lightning releases anymore, because people were like, oh, I got to get my ISS ticket because the event's in less than 2 months. If I don't, they're gone. Where this year it was kind of like, oh, we've got plenty of time, and it's really cool to advertise these flash releases and things like that and quick sellouts and stuff. But believe it or not, on the back end, that's actually a big stress for us as well when things like that happen. So things overall with having that benefit of time this year has really made the event just flow so much smoother on the back end and getting things together. And I anticipate it will be even better for next year because we won't be waiting for UMC to be sold to secure a date.
Speaking of that, of UMC being sold and everything, it's been a little bit of a struggle trying to work with somebody there. Just trying to understand who we definitely need to work with because so much has changed in management from one year to the next after the sale.
Yeah.
So, and just trying to have been figuring that out. It's like we get told one thing and then a different thing happens, or there are certain things that are not included. And I really hope to see that actually gets cleared up in the future with UMC, just because of the potential it could have. We actually met up with UMC. This was basically all of staff that could make it. And we actually kind of pitched to me the idea of like we'd like to turn ISS into like a modern age like GT Live when UMC first opened up back in the middle of motorsports days. And they were like, oh really? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, this is kind of the vision we see. Of course, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, of course, if ISS travels that far. I definitely would like to see something like that, and I think that our show's definitely got the potential to turn into something like that as well. Because we're already heading in that direction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've already got the clout within the local community, which is definitely a good thing. You're not just a group of guys showing up out of nowhere saying, hey, we want to do this. You have a body of work to point to and say, hey, we've been organizing this. Last year we did this with a month and a half's notice, and we're doing it, this year with enough lead time. Imagine what we could do with this continued amount of time. Imagine what we could bring to this facility.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting to see where it goes in the future. As we learn to coordinate with the different groups, like Jordan with Salt City Drift's been absolutely amazing to work with. Very easy going, and same with Nick and Brandon with Take Luck as well, with coordinating with them. And we're just hoping that, again, we wanted to coordinate with more groups to get more things going on, but the late sale, they had to finalize schedules elsewhere, prevented that. So we're hoping that with this year that we'll be able to start coordinating with those groups in the fall well before they even start considering next year's calendars, in hopes that we can get everybody on the same page and really get some amazing racing opportunities taking place around the facility.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
during the event.
I mean, I think it would be great. Like, the one thing I remember about those old GT Live days was that was also, like, early Redline Time Attack. Mm-hmm. So you had, like, at the time, the craziest Time Attack cars in North America showing up. For us, like, initially I'm imagining, like, a special, like, NASA Utah one-off time trial thing, because there are 2 Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeos that show up, plus a bunch of other retired GT cars, plus Life Could Always Trot Out Sit. I mean, there are a bunch of very fast cars.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but and we actually spoke with UMC about this. One of the struggles with doing that, some things like that, is the bigger events you have on the track, the less paddock space you have.
Yep.
So, it's definitely a balancing act for us, and that's like the dates that we pick for our event going forward and stuff. We're not like the other shows where it's like, it's us and only us. We're coordinating with half a dozen different groups trying to make this happen, so it's a matter of choosing the best date that's best for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is our second weekend, the second year we've been the second weekend of June, and we'll see if this continues to work out for us.
You're the first weekend of June.
Or did I say the second weekend? The
Yes,
first
it
weekend
is.
of June. Sorry, I meant the second year that it's the first weekend of June.
There we go.
But
I can tell you that actually, returning back to UMC, UMC definitely said that they invited us back because of how much of a draw on people we actually brought to the facility. And so I think after this year, with our coordination with the new management, going into the post-sale of UMC, I think this will be our prime year and going forward as far as how well they will work with us, just like advertisements, making sure, we're taken care of, that we're, more of a like yearly event. Like, for example, you have Nitro Circus that's coming back this year, of course, right?
Yeah.
And so UMC saw like they had a phenomenal event with them last year, and so they're changing things this year with them to making sure they're catered to them. And I kind of feel like this is going to be like the year that ISS gets that kind of treatment, where it's like we can actually show, how well we manage our show at their facility. Then going into the next year, they'll actually cater to us a lot more in making sure that we actually have all of the resources that we need to be the next best version of ourselves going into the next future years.
Yep, I keep saying I don't remember saying it on the podcast last year, but I think Dave mentioned it on his recap last year. Last year was the reinvention of ISS. It was kind of the rebirth of it in this new, more motorsports focused aspect. Again, make no mistake, we're always going to be the enthusiast event.
Oh yeah,
everybody of all build types, makes, models, everything will always be welcome at ISS. But we're, like I said earlier, performance is going to make a difference. And that's not something you see at other shows.
Nope. Yeah, that's a thing that people love to ignore. Is every race car is a show car. So
except for our People's Choice Award we introduced this year, that's been 100% strictly a show.
That's
an appearance thing.
Yeah, that took a turn.
Believe it or not, that's actually been a lot of fun for us as a staff. It's actually been extremely successful. We've had some of the matches on that reach upwards of 60,000 people.
Good Lord.
For its post-reach.
Wow.
And
I haven't heard the end of it. I have a friend who's been trying to get the CB7.
Oh, yeah.
One. Yeah, because he has a CB7.
It's kind of funny because that competition ended 3 days ago, and we still have people posting and sharing, like, vote the CB7.
Yeah,
and it's like, it ended 3 days ago.
It doesn't matter, guys.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter anymore.
But, we knew going into it that would probably be something that would be a strictly appearance-based thing, but we wanted to. Our goal for that was we wanted to drive interactivity with our social media followers. Actually last year we put out a survey after the event asking for feedback on the event and what people thought, and the two biggest recommendations people gave was, one, they wanted to see more awards, which we thought was crazy because we already offer more awards than anybody else.
Yeah.
But two, their second request was they wanted a People's Choice Award. They wanted an award that they themselves could help pick the winner of. And this was just something we like, well, let's try this with social media. We'll set it up as with 64 cars in a bracket style and randomly drew names for which cars would go against each at the first. And
I like it.
Honestly, it's been a lot of fun, a little bit more harsh amongst competitors.
Well, yeah.
The last couple of rounds but I mean, that just goes to show the extent that some of them are going to try to get the win. And
yeah, because I've been hearing like some of these are going up on Twitter and Reddit and stuff.
Yeah, like it's crazy how like what the reach has been with it. And I'm not surprised by the results. The two cars actually going in the final are both deserving cars, very well deserving cars.
Yeah.
And it's just been something fun where it's just like, look, we're hands off on this. We're letting you guys choose it, and
this is what you people wanted,
and what you guys want, and the contenders have had a lot of fun with it. And it's one of those things we threw together kind of last minute, like literally 2 weeks before we started doing it, and we'll see how we can kind of plus it and make it a little bit better for next year. But the point of it is almost everyone who participated in it had fun. They thought it was fun and really, really cool, something different, again, that we're not seeing anybody else locally do on that level.
Nice.
Well, one thing that I think is really cool to see, too, is that, like, a lot of people, I mean, so ISS has kind of grown to the point where people, I mean, we're all trophy, hunters, of course, to a certain degree, but you can definitely tell, like, how important just, like, a piece of metal is to some people now. From ISS going forward, like you can, like people are literally fighting over it to a certain degree, just online, of course. But
oh yeah.
But one of my favorite things still, and I think that it really showed last year when we announced the winners, was we probably had we did I think 28 awards last year, and I probably had about 10 people come up afterwards or say on social media how shocked that they were that they won. Like they had no anticipation or anything of that at all. And again, what it kind of boiled down to is we were looking at the performance aspects of the vehicles. It wasn't a show-based thing.
So is that why I didn't win last year?
Yeah.
Probably.
Among many reasons.
Just
Yeah,
kidding. What do you drive?
We brought the POW in last year.
The what?
The Nissan POW.
Little truck, right?
No.
Tiny little hatchback.
Weird little thing from
little
Japan
K car.
that looks like it was made in the 60s.
Oh,
in the 80s.
okay. Yep, I remember that now.
Yeah, that we brought that in, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna win Nissan because it's so weird. And there's nothing like that ever in here."
And then a bunch of GTRs showed up.
Yeah, we got wrecked.
Oh,
Ac-
wait.
actually,
There's a button for that. Hold on.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah,
Mike, actually, last year Nissan was won by a 300Z.
yeah.
Wow.
It had a bunch of performance mods to it, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Because that parked just a couple up from us. We were looking at it.
Which was kind of shocking in and of itself because people just expect, GTR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that should be a shoe-in, but
But
Well,
no.
that 300ZX had a lot of work done to it.
expect the unexpected with us when it comes to choosing the awards.
All right, then.
Hey, Jeff, have you talked about the other awards yet?
No, but we'll keep those a surprise for the show. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
so we'll tease it a little bit, but we've actually got 5 awards that we're not announcing the categories of until we are giving them away. So these are
All right.
kind of a little different, outside the box type of awards, and in fact, we're actually having them same design, but we're having them coated in different colors and stuff to really make them
Nice.
stand out as different and unique. And that's, speaking of our awards, that's actually one of the cool things too we're doing this year is longtime sponsor Armor Coatings of the event. They've been there since ISS began in 2013. They are actually powder coating our awards for us this year.
Nice. Very cool.
So we're excited to show those probably in the next couple of days. We'll give a teaser, but they're those special awards, those 5 special awards. They're doing in special, even unique colors,
Cool.
to really make them stand out. But again, kind of speaking like Dave was about the ghetto award earlier, and when you have a ghetto award, it kind of drives people to bring their ghetto messes to it. You know,
So when you have nice awards,
Yeah.
we're kind of holding off on this because we don't want these awards to be ones people are competing for. They're just ones that are there, if that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, let's just say that like when we announced them, you guys were like, "Oh, okay, I definitely can see why they went with those." They were all unique. Like all the staff came up with some ideas, and then we all kind of voted on them. Of course, I think we had like a collection of 10 or 15 different ones, and we all just kind of broke them down to the ones we wanted. And then I think 2 or 3 of Jeff's actually got picked that he wanted, and I think one of mine did, and then a few other of the staff members. So I mean, it's a collection of everyone on staff, not just 1 or 2 people that picked all of them in general.
Nice. All right. Well, so that is this weekend out at UMC. Guys, are you ready to answer maybe 1 or 2 questions? Because that's all we got, because we're asking people to submit questions on Memorial Day when they have more fun things to be doing.
Yeah, shoot, go ahead.
Okay, so we had a couple responses in the Super Secret Cam Shenanigans Facebook group.
oh boy, these aren't even questions.
Well, I mean, Jackson has a question mark at the end of one of them.
But
So
it doesn't
that's-
say it says it's not a question at the beginning. So
Well-
let's not read it.
Well, okay, no. So it's a 2-part thing. He says, first off, not a question, but I'd like to say how awesome it is to have such an amazing show and how you guys still keep fees low. Side note, what's the story of the carbon fiber hood DC2 that's the photo? Whatever, Jackson got figured out.
Grammar.
You're typing like me today.
He's
Jesus.
basically asking about Jeff's Type R.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was gonna say, I was kind of confused if he was trying to refer because, like, for a lot of like all of our sponsor announcements, we've had a kind of like a carbon fiber background for those, and I didn't know if that was what he was referring to at first because I'm just like, that's just kind of a nice looking background instead of something that's just flat, you know.
It's like generic word art.
Yeah. But story of the carbon fiber, if it's about the Type R, I mean, I don't know. The story's pretty well out there.
We've talked about it.
What it is, yeah.
Go back and listen to an old episode, Jackson.
Check out last year's episode
Or the
of
year
the
before.
ISS Camcast, and you'll hear a lot of that. But that is my Integra Type R. I do use it a lot as kind of the promo car for ISS because of that. And it is an authentic Type R. and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm never getting rid of it.
There we
so.
go.
Well, that car's got a very storied history as well.
And then let's see our man.
So, and then just to add to that, it's awesome to hear that recognition for. We really do strive to keep our fees as low as possible. Again, this is an enthusiast event for us. This is a hobby for us. It's always going to be a hobby for us. Some other shows nationally, they travel around. That's what they do for their jobs. They put on these events. That's not going to be us. We're not doing this to make money. So we try to keep our fees as low as possible to cover the event expenses, for one. And then any profits that we make, we actually will tend to that's where we donate a lot to Primary Children's Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in this for ourselves. We are truly in this to give back to the community and just to put on an awesome event for everybody. No one that works with ISS, myself, Jerry, any of the other staff, we don't make money off of this. It's all done volunteer wise.
I got a free gift bag and a sweatshirt.
yes, we give them a gift bag.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. I don't make any money doing any of the stuff that I do. With as much time as I put into it, it would be a full-time gig job, somewhere else professionally. But just as Jeff said, this is just like a hobby of ours that we do off to the side. So, I haven't made a penny off of this. And how long have we been doing this, Jeff? Like the back end of
this is our 7th year.
Now? Well, since we started when we launched our website, I think it was 5 years ago.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, probably about 5 years from the website, but yeah, it's we do it just for the fun of it, and just because we get asked this question so often: are you going to do a second event? No, no. We will only be doing one event a year, and only in Utah.
There we go.
Yeah, with as much planning as we put together, like I said earlier, we started planning all the way as early as October. Putting a second event it'd almost feel like a part-time job at that point.
Maybe if this was back when Utah Hondas was in its prime and we were all in our mid-20s again, things would be different. But all of us we're in our mid to late 30s now, and we've got careers elsewhere. This is just a hobby for us.
Long gone are the days of the Domo-kun quote pyramid.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Let's see. Then from Dan Chalinsky, no major questions. Just hoping we can get the Kazi Evo 1 replica done in time. I'm pulling in the big guns, and he posts a picture of his wife with one of his twins strapped to her back as she is wrapping his car in vinyl.
Wow.
Yep.
Dedication.
That's awesome.
That is dedication.
Hannah is definitely a keeper.
Yep, that she is. And then, Jeff, I think you said you had a question.
So, yeah, we asked on the ISS Facebook page as well, and Mike Adams asked us what the plans to help bring back the motorsports and performance parts to the car show industry. Also, what direction do you see the scene going as far as looks? And last but not least, what are your goals of ISS?
Go ahead, light us up, Jerry.
Yeah.
Which question?
Yes.
I don't know. Pick one. Just pick a target and pull the trigger.
Just start talking.
All right. I'll talk about the goals first. So Jeff and I always talk about this every year about making ISS an actual business, or making it just like a charitable 501c type of company instead of and making it a business that's not for profit but for charity, of course, right? And so and that obviously hasn't happened yet. And I'm not employee number 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever like that. But I would eventually like to see that happen in the future. I think with how we've been growing every year, because we get bigger and bigger every year, and so with the way we have our staff laid out right now, we definitely can manage things. But I'm almost positive there's going to be a point where we're going to have to hire people to manage it for us because it's going to bleed into our personal lives to a point where it's not really going to be manageable, but we're going to need external help with it as well. That's kind of what I see. This is 5 to 10 years from now, of course. I would like to just continue working on it. Change up the website. Get more professional with like how our registration system works. Like the float's been awesome. I don't think I'll ever want to go away from that. It's been so seamlessly great. Working with all of our sponsors has been really good. Like we've had tons of repeats, and I don't know. Like I'm pretty happy with like how things are. Other than just making like ISS a business in the future, that's probably my ultimate goal. I'd like to see that, of course. And then what was the other question again?
Do you like how Jerry's all of his answers were back end stuff?
Yep.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
No, the goal for me, like I always looked at it, and we have great working partnerships with the other shows in the area, and we coordinate together to make sure we're not overstepping each other's shows and stuff. But Scrape Fest, StanceCon, both of those shows, Elite Tuner, those are the three other big shows that come to our area every year, and all three of them now do shows outside of Utah. And that's kind of their plan is as they grow their brands and their businesses and whatnot, is they're looking outside of Utah to expand. Where my goal is the GT Live kind of model. I want our event to be such with the motorsports involvements that we become the event that draws people to Utah from out of state, whether they're coming because they want to drift, whether they're coming because they want to race on the road course, or they just want to bring a car to the show, whatever it might be. That's ultimately my goal with it, is I want to get an all-around motorsports and draw people in. And if it ever happens that UMC does build a drag strip, you better believe we would work that into ISS as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Very
I would like to see, just kind of add on top of that, like so when we were at the Maverick Center, one thing that I really liked about that place was that they have that big, Jumbotron that you can see right along the freeway.
Yeah.
I would love to see ISS, once there's like a drag strip and stuff in the future get built out at UMC, that we actually have an event where we actually have like billboards and stuff like that actually like, hey, Import Spring Showoff this weekend, XYZ.
Yeah.
Like, and then maybe it turns into like from a 1-day event to 2-day event where it includes like racing with it as well. So kind of the same idea, but that's something I've always wanted, is to actually see a billboard of our brand somewhere, like driving. I'm like, hey, I helped make that. That's, hopefully far in the future, but very obtainable, of course.
Yeah.
So going back to the last two questions, what's the plans to help bring the motorsports and performance part to the car show industry? I think that you see that doing that with how we're implementing the motorsports into our event this year.
Yeah.
I've talked to Jordan, I've talked to Nick about it, and we all believe, make no mistake, the big attendance that Salt City Drift has been seeing has probably been in large part of the Drift Ride-Along starting at ISS last year.
Absolutely.
It gave people a taste of what drifting was about, which made them then want to go and sell their show car and build a drift car instead. Or, maybe they were thinking about stancing out their 350Z, and instead they've decided to turn it into a drift car instead.
Well, and that's exactly what happened. We've actually had 2 drivers already this season that had no idea that we had drift events in the state, that came to ISS and saw this and actually talked to a couple of the drivers and, found out that we actually do have an entire series here. And they showed up at the first event with cars ready to go, and they had a blast.
Exactly. And that's kind of our plan to use. We're using ISS as a platform to get people involved in racing again.
Beautiful.
Basically, I said earlier, the staff with ISS, we all come from racing backgrounds. I don't get my car out as often as I used to. Jerry races motorcycles. That's where our heart lies, and so we're using ISS as a platform to get that more involved. And so hopefully next year our plans will come together about better utilizing NASA in the event, better utilizing Utah SCCA in the event. But that's kind of where we're going, and just as we put that emphasis out there and get people into a real motorsports facility, I'd wager to bet even last year, probably 70% of the people who came to ISS had never stepped foot in UMC before ISS.
I would say the number is actually probably higher than that.
Possibly. Oh, yeah. That's being conservative with that.
Yeah.
But by getting them into a racing environment, the hope is that, maybe we'll see more of those race-inspired cars. And that's not to say that you can't have a race car that looks good, because you can.
Oh, yeah.
But
well, there was an old Honda scene video from years back. if I remember, it was called The Pursuit of Function. Mm-hmm. And they were interviewing one of the guys in there, and they were talking about, show cars versus race cars. And I remember the guy saying the form of racing is the function. So if you have a properly functioning car, it will never go out of style.
Yeah.
And I feel that.
I agree with that. And then that goes in the following question of what direction do you see the scene going as far as looks? I'd like to believe that history kind of repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you look back into the late 90s, early 2000s when Fast and Furious first came out, I was included, my first build being a neon.
Oh, boy.
Through the body kit, the neon lights, the chrome wheels,
Hey, that neon was badass, man.
It was. But that was the style then, you know, that people were about building those kind of crazy out there. The body kits did not flow with the cars at all, with the body lines, but that was what it was.
Yeah.
And then you kind of saw performance start creeping in the mid 2000s. And next thing you know, I felt like everybody was building a drag car.
Yeah.
During that time, you look back at the early years of Utah Hondas, and it was a very performance-based enthusiast community. And then as forums started to phase out, and you saw Facebook groups start to take off, I think that's when we started seeing the rise of stance and social media, and going back to like our People's Choice Awards too. It doesn't surprise me that the cars that are going to be competing are choose stance cars, because stance cars have a bigger following on social media than the race cars do, which again, both amazing vehicles, both very deserving, and both actually have quite a bit under the hood of their car too. They may be on bags, but they've got some power to back them up.
Right.
But I think that we will see eventually. We're going to see that just like the show scene, crazy show car scene did in the early 2000s. I do believe we'll see stance kind of hit a point where we're going to start seeing performance-based cars trickle back in again. And my ideal builds, the cars I like the most are always the simple street cars that's got some decent go under the hood, a nice, non-aggressive, lowered but not aggressive suspension setup, something that's not factory appearance-wise but still flows in with the car. You know, that's the kind of style that I would like to personally see make a comeback again. I'm not a wheel snob at all, but I do like seeing a nice pair of wheels instead of XXRs on a vehicle. So, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I got some opinions on that too. So Jeff is right on the money with history repeats itself. So there's two things that I think is going to really change. So like right now, you're seeing a lot of people trying to buy like really high horsepower cars. I mean, like for example, look at how many GTRs are out now, and everyone wants one because it's a great car. You do pretty much nothing to it, and you're in the 12s, right?
Yeah, bang for buck, they're great.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you think about it, like back in like the late 90s, even early 2000s, like racing a car at a drag strip was like, if you're running like, high 13s, low 14s, you were still a pretty quick street car, And at that time, this is when like, Honda and like different ECUs, companies like that came out for Honda. And that was like kind of the rise of when you saw like Hondas like just dominating, street like everywhere. I remember when DSMs were like the king of the streets for a while. Like you could even there's a video that I was a part of a long time ago. This is like early 2000s. You could actually just do a search for King of the Streets Talon, and it was an actual Supra that was actually racing an all-wheel drive Talon, and both of them weren't even crazy high horsepower. Like I think the Talon was like in the high 300s, low 400s, and the Supra was like in the mid 500s. The Talon won, of course. But like nowadays, it's like if you're not running like 10s or 11s, like nobody wants to actually even race you at all. But as time moves on, you see a lot of these outrageous prices on parts coming down too. Like I can remember when like a Rev Hard kit for a Honda was like $4,000. Nowadays, you can actually get a full custom turbo kit set up. eBay special, of course, for like under $1,000. And even on eBay custom setup like that, you can still make a pretty decent amount of power on a street car and have fun with it. So, and then you also see like first generation WRXs that have actually dramatically decreased in pricing too. Like you could find a bug eye, usually under $3,000-4,000 for less than 100,000 miles pretty rare. I mean, you can find them still. And then like going around and just like talking to people. So like when I was growing up, the big thing was like, the Honda Civic, the EG or the EK, especially the EK hatch, and now those are kind of hard to find, and they're actually fairly cheap too if you do find them. Same thing's happening with Subaru, where like you have the first generation of WRXs coming, people want those because they're so cheap. That's why we see so many Subarus on the road today, and they're easy to modify. You just do a stage 2 tune on it, and you've already, upped probably, 50, 60 horsepower, and then you have a fun street car. So the next part to that, I think, has a lot to do with passing the buck. So myself included, as well as everyone on the podcast, at some point in their lives has raced a car, if it was your mom's Taurus, or if you actually were like in a 1,000 horsepower street car and you had fun with it, racing with somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like we're the teachers. We've got to teach the new generation of kids that are coming that, hey, I remember when I was 18, I had no idea what a turbo was. I didn't know how it worked. I knew I knew it made cool noises. That's about it. But it was people that I hung around with.
You know more than I do now.
I hung around with. Well, yeah, I'll get out of here. But it was kind of the people I hung around with that actually taught me those things. And a lot of those people were like drag racers. This is way before drifting. And they kind of introduced me to different things. And then, of course, this is also when forums were at their peak before they died off. So I think in the future, incorporating ISS is as far as how everyone is, an unknown or unspoken teacher of whatever they were good at their prime for these new kids and generations that are coming into it. If we teach them the ways of hey, this is what you could go do, check it out, and we just kind of just give them a taste of it, they're going to be addicted to it immediately, just kind of like we were when we were growing up. Because when we were growing up, we didn't make a lot of money, maybe $10 to $12, $13 hour jobs, maybe. And then we would go to AutoZone and spend our whole paycheck on dumb stuff, right? Nowadays,
I mean, speak for yourself,
yeah,
Jerry.
I still do that.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Some of us haven't graduated, Jerry.
Oh, get out of here. So what I mean is but I think if we're the teachers and we teach the new students that are coming in as far as hey, this is motorsports of any type, when I have a friend that gets a motorcycle, I immediately teach them stuff about something they don't know, and then they immediately get hooked, I used to be that way when I was with my car too, but that's kind of on the back burner. And then a lot of us are this kind of the same way, I know there's a few of us that are big into drifting, and that's kind of your passion as well. So I think, yeah.
As someone who is, sorry.
God, that delay is kicking your ass,
Yeah,
Zach.
it totally is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay.
Say your shit.
I said, as someone who is in that position of learning still, and still being pretty young, having a community that like ISS and our drift community to basically tutor me to learn what I want to learn has been amazing and awesome.
We don't like you. Go away.
Okay.
Actually, that's wrong.
No, but that's
we actually love you a lot, Zach.
That's actually, and that's why we kind of given the drift guys that section where they can bring out the cars between sessions and stuff. And
it's crazy because that's the new it's the newest motorsport that's happened in the last, that since we've been alive.
But speaking with Jordan in that area and also the streetcar shootout guys, NASA Utah, even the sport bike association's going to have a booth at ISS.
Nice.
We told them, come set up a booth and talk to people about your motorsport. Mm-hmm. Talk to people about it. Tell them what's involved with getting it to start racing with it. Because a lot of times these people, they may have an interest of it. They just don't know where to look to find out more information.
Yeah.
And again, that's where we came back to, we want ISS to be a platform where we can show people, hey, if you want to build a show car, great, we got a show for you. But if you also want to race, even better, we got racing as well. And here's the people you need to talk to get involved with it. I'll be on my upcoming in racing came from street racing to then actually going to a drag strip. But it wasn't until GT Live in 2007, and Utah CCA offered free autocrossing.
Yes.
And that was the first time I put the Type R through some corners in my ownership, and I never looked back at drag racing since, other than my farewell. I went and did some farewell drag racing last year at RMR.
Nice.
But other than that, that was my first time drag racing in 11 plus years, because I no longer had that desire to drag race after I autocrossed. And then from there, the Wide Open Wednesday events at the former Miller, and getting involved in the racetrack from there. But it's events like ISS where we keep looking back at GT Live and the influence this personally had on me and how I've taken my car over the years. That's exactly what I hope that we can do to the spectators coming to our event.
Yeah, it's the perfect venue for people to find their niche.
I
Exactly.
think that once a drag strip is actually included, because we had ride-alongs on an open track day, and obviously there's going to be ride-alongs on drifting this year. But in the future, if we had all three, then any person can find their niche if they just come and they get a chance to get a drive along with somebody in any of those categories.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you, everyone knows Courtney Green, of course. This is back before he even had CG racing. He took me for a ride in his 500 horsepower street car, and that was the thing that kind of hooked me in getting my CRX off the jack stands for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then, and same thing, I had a friend take me for a ride on the CBR 1000, and that's actually the thing that made me buy my street bike that I have now. So it's like, that one thing that's just like, I need to get that. That is the cocaine I need,
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Beautiful.
Yep. I think it's time to find the lamb that's playing. Jerry, thank you for joining us for the better part of an hour. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Dude, no problem at all. Come say hi to Jerry this weekend at UMC for ISS.
I want to come meet you, Frace.
Yeah, you'll be there. We'll point him out to you. Go ahead and give him high fives.
You can watch him. He'll probably be cruising around on the golf cart.
Yeah.
There we go.
Bonus points if you run up to him and
I'm
yell,
bringing,
"Damn it, Jerry!"
Yeah.
I'm also bringing a mini bike, too, so watch out for that, too.
Oh, boy.
I'll bring the pool noodles. Make sure you aim for the torso.
He's coming for them ankles.
Whoa. I'm bringing my longboard. Can we do jousting?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm game.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'll have to come find you.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
Can
we
this
appreciate
happen
it.
live on the Camcast Live
All right,
podcast?
guys. I'll talk to you then.
No problem.
See you, Jerry. Yes, it can. I will do live jousting.
We will. Yeah, we can do some. We'll figure out something. Don't worry.
Lordboards versus Jerry.
Oh God in heaven.
We just borrow some lapel microphones with some wireless shit, right? And then we could just joust each other in the background. You just hear a bunch of fumbling and then just ow.
Pool noodle sounds.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Wow.
Well, there we go. I think that's an episode. Jeff, thank you for joining us this week.
Well, thank you.
I look forward to actually coming out to ISS at UMC, because last year I had my little, anniversary with my girlfriend. We went up to Park City, and then you suddenly announced that you were doing that after I made a non-refundable commitment. So,
well, when you only have 45 days.
yeah.
That's okay. I took all the pictures for you.
Yes. Dave will be there doing stuff.
I'm going to be running all the drift stuff with Jordan and Josh.
Yeah.
I remember I could not find you last year because I just barely met you.
Yeah.
And my whole day goal was to find Dave. And I think I've met you once or twice that whole day.
Yeah, you and Jackson ran into me at 4 o'clock that afternoon.
And then I stood with you and Joey in the drift line.
Uh-huh.
And then I never got to ride along.
Yes, exactly.
There we go.
So
I'll be there. Dave will be there. Zach will be there. Jeff's going to be there. All
We
your
hope.
favorites are going to be
I
there.
say good luck, because there's a lot to see this year.
Yep. So
if you don't see everything, that is perfectly fine.
Yes.
Yeah. So come on out. It is this Saturday. Jeff, what time? Or
So ISS officially starts at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And we will be doing awards at 4:30.
And so that is on Sunday, correct?
It's
Saturday.
on Saturday.
Saturday, excuse me.
So Saturday, June 1st.
Yep.
Got it.
From 1 till...
And
the spectator gates will actually be open starting at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
because that's when Salt City Drift will be
Right.
beginning their event. But
Right.
the cart center won't open until noon. The ride-alongs the Take Luck ride-alongs aren't starting until 1 o'clock either.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 o'clock, if you're coming to spectate, that's going to be the time you want to be there. If you have vehicles in the show, hopefully you will have seen the time schedule by now. But 10 a.m. for group pass, 11:30 a.m. for general paddock parking. Mm-hmm. And please, please, please make sure you arrive prior to 1:30 If not, you're SOL because we got to lock those gates because we got to transition the staff to other roles.
Mm-hmm. So
don't be late.
There you go.
Or else. And yeah, drifting's going Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
All day, both days. So it's we're starting our tech early. So, I mean, if you're a driver, you already know this. If you're spectating, show up by 9. We break for lunch at noon, come back at 1, and then we run until 5.
So just like any other drift event?
Just like every other drift event we have out at UMC.
And honestly, there's enough going on in that facility to keep you busy all day long.
Yeah.
Go watch some drifting. Take a ride in a drift car. Go race your buddies on the kart track.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Take a look at the 20-some-odd sponsor booths we have.
Exactly. Now, if I may make a suggestion for anybody that is willing to spend the 2 days there at the event, focus most of your energy on the show on Saturday. And then, see all the sponsors, talk with all the people, see all the cars, because all day Sunday we're going to be driving, the drift event. And we do ride-alongs there as well. That's always been a thing with Salt City Drift events, is we always have ride-alongs, we have loaner helmets.
And as an added benefit, Sunday we'll see a different track layout for the drift guys.
Exactly,
as well.
Exactly. We're gonna try and play on something a little bit bigger, a little bit more technical. We're gonna have some fun with it. It's gonna be a good time.
So there we go. We got
but
your
overall,
weekend.
you got plenty to see. You can fill a whole day if you want to, and
you can fill the weekend.
And we've even got 7 food vendors this year. So
exactly,
come enjoy some sweet food as well.
Yeah, there is no shortage of good stuff to do, eat, and see.
Yep, we got your weekend plans for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Don't say we never gave you nothing.
Damn right. All right, guys. So for episode 196 of the Camcast, I have been Mike.
I'm in danger.
I've been Zach, a.k.a. Colonel Eddie Dean.
There we go.
Look forward to seeing you guys this weekend.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
There we go.
Now we do that whole fade-out thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you were just going to straight up just smash all the buttons.